Hello,
Shavua Tov, how are you?
how are you?
Baruch Hashem. Good. Good to be
Rested
back.
from your flying?
What's that?
Rested from your flying?
A little bit, a little bit. It'll take a few
Okay.
days.
So when are you going again?
Next week we have a wedding. My granddaughter's getting married.
In Israel?
And no, in Passaic, New Jersey, Passaic, New York, wherever it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're going to be there for the week, basically.
Hmm.
And then, yeah, every day, every week's a different thing.
That's good.
Not so good, not so good. Getting tired
Smachot.
of
Smachot.
getting, yeah, small huts are always good. That's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop it because everybody complains that you have to listen to it.
My son is going to be at the wedding also. Yeah.
Who?
He's going to be at that wedding in New York.
Oh.
What are we eyeing?
Ayin. Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.
Hmm.
Hainami tepukle mivachelev nevela. This rule that the chelev of a non-kosher animal also provides tuma can be learned from this extra word, the chelev nevela. Mishi yisrumishum batoichal chelev nevela. It's only something where the whole prohibition arrives because you can't eat the chelev of nevela. Yatzaz azu shein yisrumishum batoichal chelev nevela elamishum tameh. Here, there's no, you can't eat the whole animal. The Isser isn't because of not eating nevela, not eating chaylev. It's because of it's an unkosher animal. It's a behemoth meya. Ella, high trefim aboila suichaya. Rav didn't need the word trefa in that pasuk regarding chaylev, but we can still use trefa for something else. That the nevela of a chaya, the chaylev of a nevela of a chaya, is not metame. For kosher animals, you can eat its meat, but you can't eat the chaylev. So I might thought that that's when there's tuma. But I would have think that a chaya, the chaylev of a chaya is permitted, and you can eat if it's a kosher chaya, like a deer. And so it's meat and chaylev are permitted. Maybe I would have thought that there would not be tumah. Kamash Blan that there is tumah. Now, what have we've learned? That a behemoth tmei like a chazir or a horse, where there's no difference really between the meat and the chaylev. They're both usher. Now, for a different reason, for a chaya, the basar and the chaylev are the same. Both can be eaten. So that implies that if you have an avela of a chaya, that the chaylev of that animal would provide tumah. Treifa is needed for itself. That the chaylev of a treifa that just died, he didn't do shchita, enechanami is tohar. Shaloi toimar, don't say hoyelu tmeya asr mechayim. A behemoth tmeya is already prohibited even while it's alive. Utreif asr mechayim. A domesticated animal that's a treif is also forbidden, but it's while it's alive, because we know it can't live for 12 months. Matmeya chelba tome, just like by a non-kosher animal, its chelav is tome. Av treifa chelba tome. So too, I might have thought that the chelav of a treifa is also tame. So we have a special pasuk treifa to say no. The chelav of a treifa that died, the chelav is tor. So ihachi hainami mapai. So maybe the word treifa is used shaloi toimar. We could use the same as for hoil va'of tame osir. You have a non-kosher bird, like an atalef or a chasida, and it's also osir bachila, utreifa osir bachila. And a treifa is not allowed to eat. Ma'af tame enematame. A non-kosher bird does not provide. You don't become tum if you put it in the back of your throat. Av treifa enematame. So I would think that the treifa is also not mitame. So to tell me, so we have an extra word treifa to say that the nevela of a treifa bird does convey tumah. Va'od. Mi iklamel of treifa mitame. Can you learn the dinim of a treifa by kosher animals from these types of halachas regarding behemoth tmeyas? Tmei lo ha'isa lo shasa kosher. A chazir was never kosher from its birth till now. It never has a period where it's kosher. But a cow that becomes a treifa that gets a hole in its lung, initially it was kosher. Treifa ha'isa lo shasa kosher. Maybe you'll tell me treifa me bet, Mike. Let me remember. There are animals that are born treifa. They are missing a limb when they're born, so it never had a shasa kosher. But b'mino mi'aika. But there are types of behemoths that would be born not treifa, so it always has a shasa kosher. So the Gemara is rejecting this limud from a behemoth tmeya. El Amar Rava. The Torah said, "V'chelev nevela, v'chelev treifa." Well, why both? Yavo isra nevela, v'yachal isra chelev. That the prohibition of eating nevela will have a chalois even on the isra chelev. And yavo isra treifa, v'yachal isra chelev. Chelev is prohibited, but the prohibition of treifa will come on top of it. Utzrichi, and I need it. The Ashman in nevela. If the Torah would have only written b'chelev nevela, you know why? Mishum de metanya. You know why the Isser of nevela has a chalois on the Isser chelev? Because besides not being able to eat nevela conveys tumah. Aval treifa, when you shech the treifa, it's not metame. You can't eat it. But I might have thought that the prohibition of treifa is not strong enough to have a chalois on chelev. Right? Aval treifa emelo. And the opposite, Iyashmin and treifa, if the Torah would have said v'chelev treifa, mishum disra mechayim. A treifa is already osra even when it's alive. Aval nevela, but nevela, its own becomes osra if it's deaf, emelo. So tricha, the Torah had to write v'chelev nevela, v'chelev treifa. V'Rab Meir hay treifa ma'avid, but that's Rabbi Yehuda. What does Rab Meir do with the extra word treifa? That if you took a chulin bird, like a goose or a chicken, and you slaughtered it in the Azara, it does not become tummy if you put it in the back of your mouth. Rabbi Yehuda, where does he learn that? There's another word, treifa achrina ksiv. It says, nevela utreifa lo yochal l'tamaba. Rabbi Meir, what does he do with that other treifa? He needs both. Chad lemutei shchita shilifnim. One to say that if you shech the chicken in the Azara, now that's not normally the way you kill birds in the Azara. You kill them with malika. But so there's this special pasuk tells me that it at least what it does is no tuma. V'chad lemutei of tomei. That the nevela of an of tomei also it excludes it from Tumah Bebeis Abliya. Rabbi Yehuda, where does he learn that? Because I said the pasuk says unevela utrefa lo yachal tamaba. He learns it min nevela nafkale. Rab Meir hay nevela maya avidle. What does he do with that extra word nevela? L'shir achila b'kazayis. To teach me that when we say that you become tameh by eating the nevela of a kosher bird, you have to eat at least a kazayis. You have to have a shear. It says lo yochal l'tamaba. So from the fact that it says achila, I know it's got to be a kazayis. So the more answers chad l'shir achilus bekazayis. You're only going to become tameh if you eat a kazayis. V'chad l'shir achila b'chdei achilas pras. B'chdei achilas pras is the amount of time that you eat a half a loaf, which we understand to be 9 minutes. What does that mean? It means when you, like by the night of the Seder, when we want to get the mitzvah of matzah, you have to eat the matzah within 9 minutes. You can't sit there and chew on it for an hour. That's not called eating. The eating, and the same thing, violating prohibitions. If you eat a kazayas of chaylev, you don't get kares if it took you an hour to eat it. You only get a prohibition to get malchus if you eat something bichdei achilas pras. Here as well, the tumah that you get for eating the nevela of an of tohor is only when you eat a kazayas bichdei achilas pras. And why did I need a pasuk? This whole thing of getting tumah when you eat it is a chidush. And maybe maybe it's such a chidush that even if it takes you an hour to eat it, you would become tummy. Kamash blondet, no, it's got to be b'chtei achilas pras. Okay. Torah v'chelev nevela v'chelev terefa. So b'chelev be'emet Torah kosu b'taper. That even though this is a nevela, the chelev is not metame, but that's by a kosher animal. Maybe it's the chelev of a chazir, a non-kosher animal. So the Gemara says no. There are things that when you shecht them, they become tohar from tumah. And also there are things that the Torah has said, chelev also in certain situations is tohar, even though it's coming from a nevela, which has tumah. Now, in what circumstances? When do we say that shchita is metayr something? That's only by a kosher animal, right? We said that a kosher animal that's a treifa, that you shecht, it's metayr it from tumah, but it will not be metayr a behemoth tmeya from tumah. So therefore, af kishetir mechlal chelev b'tohar v'lo b'tmeya. So in those cases where we say that the chelev is not metame, it's only in kosher animals, not in non-kosher animals. That's how the Gemara wants to start off. Oh, klach l'derech su. Or we could learn the opposite. Tier mechlal nevela, v'tier mechlal chelev. Sometimes the Torah says that a nevela is not tummy, it's tohar. For example, the nevela of a non-kosher bird is not tummy b'beis habliya. You know when we're metame? The nevela of a kosher bird. The nevela of a chicken that was killed without shchita is metameas. But the nevela of an eagle, if it's put in the back of our mouth, is not metameas. So the Torah was metayer things from tumas nevela, and it's metayer things from chelev. There, the leniency is by a non-kosher species. non-kosher birds, like an eagle or a vulture or an atalef or a chasidah, there, the nevela of such an animal is not metameyas. So I would have thought af kishetir mechlal chelev, when the Torah says certain chelevs are not tamei, it's the chelev of a behemoth tmeya, not a b'tahira, right? B'tmeya v'lo b'tahira. So Amrit kishabah b'derech zuhi b'tahara. The first approach we took, we said it's talking about a kosher animal. The second approach, we talked about a non-kosher bird. So, through logic alone, the Gemara now has gone through a logical debate. You could be medaik this way, you could be medaik that way. So you have to now rely on a pasuk. Talmud Lomer Treifa. Mi sheyesh b'mina treifa. Only types of animals where the concept of treifa exists. Gentlemen, by a behemoth tmeya, is there a concept of treifa? No. There's no treifa chazir. A behemoth tmeya is behemoth tmeya michayim. Whether it has a mum, doesn't have a mum, it's missing the yud ches treifas, it doesn't do with that. What type of animal becomes a treifa? Only a kosher animal. In Chulin, we're going to learn yud ches treifas. Hole in the lung, hole in the intestine, missing a limb. These are the things that make even a kosher animal treif. That's why we need mashgichim after the shoichet shechted. You have to go through the animal, inspect it, make sure it doesn't have one of the yud ches treifas. But that only applies to a kosher animal. So this whole limit only applies to a kosher animal. So it's the chelev of a kosher type of species is going to be tohor. Like we've learned, like a chaya. So let's see what the Brisa says further. Otzi said to me, ashamed of me, treifa. There is no concept of treifa by bemet tmeya. But the lo otzi is a chaya. But I can keep chaya in the category. Sheyesh b'mina treifa. A deer, which is a kosher chaya, can be a treifa. So Talmud loimer v'achol lo sochluhu, but you cannot eat it. Mi shechel ba'asur b'sor muter. So that the din of chelev becoming tomei only applies to domesticated kosher animals whose meat is kosher and whose chelev is asur. Yatzachai shechel ba'upsar muter. But the chelev of a chaya is not going to be mitame, because both the meat and the chelev of a chaya is permitted. So therefore, the meat is mutter, but the chelev is mitame. Amalei Rav Yaakov bar Rava Lameato. Based on that reasoning, nivlas behemoth Torah hu demetamo. So only the nevel, a carcass of a kosher animal will be metame, but nivlas behemoth lo metame. But if a chazer drops dead or is killed some way, you're going to tell me it does not convey tuma? No. I'm surprised you made that mistake. Seifa ason nivlas of tame. It's not an avela behemoth tmeya. It's an off behemoth tmeya that's not metame. A non-kosher bird, if it dies, it's not metame tumas nevela. Rav Yechna. Lo tir Rab Meir ela b'tmimim. In our Mishnah, we've said that if you have a bird which is a treifa, and you do malika, it's metayirid from its tumah. Rabbi Yochanan explains when Rabbi Meir says it's metayirid, it's only if the bird is unblemished. Ava b'bali mumin lo, but a bal mumin would not be metar of its tumah. Rabbi Lazar Amar fila b'bali mumin. Rabbi Lazar says even a bal mum. Itmar nami Amar Rabbi Amar Lazar. Metar Rabbi Meir b'bali mumin v'afilu b'avzin v'tar nikoli. That even Rabbi Meir was mitayer bali mumin, like chicken and geese. Of course, chicken and geese are not used for korbanos. It's regular chulun bird. Boy Rav Yirmiyah. We have to know that when you have two villages and a dead body is found in between a village, you measure the closest city, so that city has to bring an egla rufa to the river and decapitate it from the back of its head. We're going to see that that decapitation is mitarid from tumas nevela. In the similar vein that we've been learning, that malika of a treifa bird, of course we can't eat it, but since you did it in a way that in the Beis HaMikdash works, it's also mitarid. So what if they, instead of using a calf, oraf eiz mahu, they decapitated a goat? Does that purify it from tumas nevela or not? Because we just brought Abzin V'Tarna Golem, we said that if you do malika on a goose or a chicken, there's no, according to Rab Meir, there's no tumah. Because there are birds, like chicken and geese are birds. So there are bird species that are offered as korbanos, and malika is a way to kill them. Aval eiz lav minod eglaninu. But an egel is an egel, and a goat is a goat. So therefore, I would think that the arifa that you do on a goat's not going to do anything. Or maybe we expand the definition, and we say a goat is a domesticated animal, a calf is a domesticated animal. Madach, it works by a calf, it works by a goat as well. Yosef Rav Dimi v'Korban Lai Shmaitza. Rav Dimi was learning this question. And you seem to take it as a given that even by an egla rufa, it purifies it from tumah nevela. Is that so? Rav Dimi said yes. It says there in the pasuk, kaper la'amcha Yisrael. It uses the word atonement, and atonement is used by korbanos. So just as by we said by a korban, no matter what you do to it, you shecht it, you malika it, there's no tumas nevela. So, too, the egla rufa doesn't convey tumas nevela. However, the Gemara doesn't accept that. Masif Rav Nasan Avud Rav Huna. It says by the chaylev of a nevela, va'achol lo sochluhu. You cannot eat it. Fine. That's chaylev, which you can't eat, but you're allowed to benefit from it. Because normally by chaylev you can sell it. Chaylev is not osir bano. And we also learned from this pasuk that the chaylev of nevela is also tor, mitumas nevela. But maybe that only exists by chaylev that is prohibited to eat but mutter to benefit from. But chaylev shel shora niskal. Now, a ox that gored 3 times. So, and Beis Din adjudicates it has to be put to death. That's called a shora niskal. Now, a shora niskal is osir bano. So the chaylev of a shora niskal, not only is it osir bachila, it's osir bano. Similarly, an egla rufa is also osir bano. So chaylev shel shora niskal ve'egla varufa minayin. Talmud Lomar kol chaylev, any chaylev is going to be mitayer. Egla rufa toiri. If you're going to tell me that the chaylev of an egla rufa is tar, he tar v'chal b'tamei. So the basar of an egla rufa is on its own not tamei, but the chaylev is tamei. That doesn't make any sense. So, heichadarf ma'aref lo yitzrach alei. where they actually did the arif on the calf, you don't need a special pasuk to tell me that the chelev is Torah. You didn't do the arifa, because the arifa is the normal processing, just like we normally process the korban, and we said that it always is matarit, the same thing by the arifa. But what if instead of doing the decapitation from the back of its head, you shecht it? So there you needed a special pasuk. Well, v'tiyani le'shchita l'tar midei nevela. But just like we've said before that the shchita is matar from tumas nevela, the same thing happened there. And Chanami says the Gemara, lo tzricha shemesa. You didn't shecht it, it died. So it didn't have shchita or arifa, it just died. And then it's an nevela, and it's certainly tamei. So if it wasn't for the pasuk, we would have thought that the chelev is also tamei. So the pasuk comes to tell me that the chelev is Torah. So I understand. Michlad de mechayim asura. So is the egel arufa us already when it's alive? The Gemara says, yeah, in. Rav Yanai, gvul shamati v'shachachti. There was a get there. V'naz bin chavroy lememer yiridos l'nachal esan hi osarta. One, the Torah says you have to take the egel and you bring it down to the river. Oh, once you brought it down to the river, it's already usher. You don't need, it doesn't need to die, it doesn't need to be an avela. Just bringing it down makes it usher. And therefore, the arifa, when you actually decapitate it, there's no tumas nevela. If it just died, there would be tumas nevela. Gentlemen, tomorrow I need to teach at 4:00. Or if it's better for everybody, 4:30. 4:30 is mincha, right? So let's do 4:00, right before mincha.
Okay.
Okay, Mario and Johnny and
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, Ernie, sorry, I won't be on the Navi. I have to do something, so.
Navi is at 8.
I know, but I won't be on the Navi, so just send the recording to
We're
me.
gonna miss you.
I'll miss you too.
We need Esther's questions.
I know, we'll miss you. She loves Megillat Esther.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
See you later.
Bye. Shavua Tov.
Shavua tov.
Shavua tov.